Hello, I'm Shondra Wygal, Associate State Director of Outreach and Advocacy for AARP Texas, and I am based in the Houston office. I am joined by Lynn Munford, the Communications and Strategic Partnership Coordinator for Harris County's Election Administrator's Office. She is here to discuss the upcoming election, which is Tuesday, November 8th. Lynn, as a representative of this office, please tell us a little bit about your role.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me on. I've been in this position since April of 2021, and I'm charged with the task and have taken it extremely seriously of working with different communities across Harris County to make sure that they are included and informed in the voting process. I work with English speaking organizations and communities, as well as African American outreach, specifically to make sure that they're informed, that they know what's going on, that they're aware of the dates, any changes, or any of the new processes. Specifically, some of the examples we have new machines. So I've been going out into these communities with our new machines, hosting machine demos so that these communities get an opportunity to touch them and gain some confidence in using the machines prior to the election.
Thanks, Lynn. Let's get down to some questions that some of our AARP members will want to know for the upcoming election. What exactly will be on the Harris County? What will be on the ballot for the Harris County this general election?
So this election is a gubernatorial election. So you'll have a statewide races or some of your federal representation, your governor's office positions. There's the governor, the lieutenant governor, um, the excuse me, all of those statewide races that you see out of Austin, even down to your local races, to maybe some propositions, countywide races. And depending on where you live, you may have some city items, just if you live outside of the city of Houston, because this race, we cover all of Harris County. So it's really your ballot is a reflection of where you live and where you vote. That's what you'll see.
Wonderful. Can you go over some key dates that all of our members and friends will need to know?
Yes. So the next date that's coming up that's the most important is the start of early voting. So early voting begins on October 24th. The next date after that is the deadline to apply to vote by mail. That's October 28th. So if you want to apply to vote by mail, your application has to be in our office by the end of the day on the 28th. After that, we go into early voting. That's from the 24th to November 3rd. In there, we'll have late night voting. Excuse me, November 4th is the last day of early voting. Late night voting is November 3rd. That's from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then we have election day, which is Tuesday, November 8th. That's the big game, right? And so those are the most important dates that we have coming up.
Well, as you know, many of our members are 50 and older, and many of them would like to know more about the mail in voting process, who's eligible. Uh, can you give us a little bit more information about that?
Gladly. So, anyone who's eligible to vote by mail has to meet a certain set of requirements. And those requirements are as follows: 65 years of age or older, disabled, homebound, disabled, pregnant and expected to give birth within 3 weeks of early voting or after election day, um, in jail or otherwise confined, in jail or confined to jail, but otherwise eligible to vote. So you can be in jail awaiting trial, but not be convicted of a felony because felons cannot vote. However, if someone has been arrested and they're in jail awaiting trial and has no felonies, they are still eligible. Um, you will be traveling in away from Harris County during early voting and on election day. All of those things make someone eligible to be able to apply to vote by mail.
Please tell us a little bit more about the mail in application process. Who can send that application out to voters who would want to mail in their ballot?
So there's a process. You have to request the ballot in advance, right? And you have to apply, and we have to make sure that you qualify. We don't ask you to prove these disabilities. We also don't expect for people to abuse that situation, but we don't question you in regards to it. So if you meet the criteria, as I previously stated, you can go to our website or call our office and request the application completed and send it back. Now, when you complete it, because some rules have changed and we want to make sure that everyone knows what those rules are. We're asking for some different information than we had asked for previously. So, what we want people to do, and we saw some confusion with this during the primary in March, and we don't want people to run into the same issues this time. When you complete the application, it specifically asks for either your identification number or your last four of your social. What we're asking is that people provide both sets of information so that they reduce the likelihood of having their ballots or the applications, excuse me, kicked back. So what you want to do is when it gets to that point in the application, list your ID's number. So if that's your driver's license, your election identification certificate, or your state ID, whichever you have, list that number and list the last four of your social. That way, when we get it, if either one is wrong, we just automatically go and look at the other, and that's likely to be right, and we can go ahead and continue with the process of completing your application. We're getting closer to the actual election day, which means there's less time to send things back. So you don't want to run out of time doing these things. So we encourage everyone to do this as early as possible to ensure that you're working within the proper timeline and orderly to get it all done. But if you do that, you reduce the likelihood of having a kickback, which will save you some time and stress.
Before we go over those application deadlines again, can you give us a little bit more information about the ID requirements? And I think these ID requirements are for both people who are mailing in a ballot or will show up in person during early vote or on election day. Can you go over that for us, please?
Gladly. So when you're applying for a vote by mail application, it's asking for two ways to prove that you are you and that you know your information, right? So you have to either provide your ID number or the last four of your social, whichever one you use when you apply, you registered to vote. So you would have provide that information. We're asking for both just to reduce the likelihood of it. Then when you go to vote, you will take with you your driver's license or a state ID or an election identification certificate or a your gun license with a picture, your passport with a picture. Those type of things can be used as your ID to vote in person. That's the information you would need for that. And if you wanted to look up more, maybe you have other things going on, feel free to log onto our website at harrisvotes.com. It's a new website. It's easier to navigate and to use, so you should be able to find things a little quicker, but it'll provide you with a greater list of different options of things that you can take with you to vote and use as identification when you vote in person.
Thanks. Is there a process for folks to be able to track their ballot?
Yes.
I know we got a few calls about that during the primary. They were not people did not know how to track their ballot.
Yeah. So what you can do is you log onto our website. Um, and if you can't log onto our website, you can also go to the Secretary of State's website. They also have this information. But on our website in the Harris Votes, you would log in and you would put in the requested identifying information, and it'll allow you to track your ballot. What happens is sometimes once it's out of your hand and you put it in the mail, you can't see it and you don't know if it's been received. You don't know where it is in the process. You want to ensure that your vote actually counts. But if you go on our website, and find the track ballot portion of the website or on that app. Excuse me, it's not an app, but on the website. And you put in your identifying information as it's requested, it will find you in the process and help you navigate it where you can find it from the time you receive it to the time it's processed and know that your vote has counted.
Wonderful. So before we move into the in-person voting, go over please the deadline for the mail-in voting information, if you will.
So, to request your vote by mail application, you have to get that into us by October 28th. That is a non negotiable deadline. You have to have that application completed, and we'll get that right back out to you. And you can give us a call once we've received all your information just to ensure that we received it and get it all in time. I encourage people to call our main number 713-755-6965, to call that number, and you can follow it and make sure that we've received it then. But you want to make sure that you have everything in our office to request your ballot by mail by October 28th. That is the most important deadline right now for those who are voting by mail.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about in-person voting. That is actually my favorite way to vote. I love election time. And so give us a little bit of information that we would need to know if we are going to vote in person, either by during the early vote times or during election day, on election day.
So the consistent thing about all of this is that the ballot is long, y'all. There's no way around it. We can't fake it. We can't hide it. The ballot is long. If you remember what it was like to vote in the primary, that was very long as well. This isn't as long as a primary, fortunately. However, it's still long because this ballot is a reflection of the primary ballot, right? So it's not as long, but it's still long. So what you want to do, what everyone wants to do, they want to go to our website, harrisvotes.com, look up and print out your sample ballot, make your selections prior to heading to the polls. This will save you time. Um, it's a long ballot. There's just no way around it. You want to look it up. You want to review it. You want to go through all of the candidates, make your selections and decisions prior to getting to the polls. Take that paper with you. I cannot stress the importance of this. This is going to save you time and stress. So if you do that, print out that paper, make your selections at home, take that paper with you to the polls. You can copy straight from your paper to the machine because remember, we have the new machines and they're touch screen for those who use them that way. If you can't use them touch screen, we have other devices and sign language interpreters for those who may need other types of accommodations. We can do that as well. But even if you have to vote curbside and need to vote from the car for that accommodation, you still can use your paper that you've printed out beforehand and will take with you to the polls to make your decisions. And that will save you time because you'll copy straight from your paper to the machine and it'll help you navigate each race accordingly and your decisions would have been made and that will help you with the time. So what you want to also make note of is that early voting begins on the 24th. We'll have approximately, give or take, it's about 99 early voting locations. So you'll be able to go a great many places around the county, all of Harris County, and still be able to find a early voting center that you'll be able to go in and cast your ballot. If you are a traditionalist and you like to vote on election day, like many people do, it's just a ceremonial thing that they do. They go to their same polling location. They go with their family, whoever that is. They get dressed up, and that's just what they do. That's perfectly fine. We will have more than 780 election day polling locations. You will be able to find somewhere close by. Now, what happens with that is that people tend to go to their say favorite location and everyone's at that location. Everyone forgets about maybe the other little church around the corner that no one ever goes to that's open on election day that will have no wait time. You want to look at that. You can log on our website, harrisvotes.com, go to polling locations, and it will pull up your closest polling location. It will also give you the wait time of that location. Log on there, pull it up, and find the wait time and make the most again of your time because voting that actual ballot is going to be a process. It's a long ballot. There's no way around it. We can't hide it. We want you to be prepared and informed. Take that sample ballot with you into the polls that you've already marked with all of your selections. You have to do it on paper. You cannot do it on an electronic device. That is illegal. Use the paper. The paper is your friend. Take that with you. Take it to the polls. Cast your ballot, and then go on about your day and however you choose, because you would have made all your decisions in advance and saved some time.
Wonderful. So, can you go over those early vote dates again and then the times for those particular dates?
Sure. So early voting begins October 24th and runs through November 4th. In there, you have Sunday voting, which runs from 12 to 7. There's also late night voting. So we do not have 24-hour. If you remember some years ago, we had 24-hour. That's not a thing anymore. That's okay. We have late night voting. So late night voting is ideal for people who may work shift work, for people who work in the service industry, emergency responders, work in the medical center. Houston has one of the world's largest medical centers, right? Those people work non-traditional hours. Anyone who works that has that type of job, or you're caring for a loved one and you have to wait, until they settle down in the evening to maybe go out and be able to cast your vote and without worry. You can do that on November 3rd, which is late night voting. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. That way you can go and cast your vote. People who are working, have non-traditional schedules, don't have to worry about missing work or missing time away from work or having to get a babysitter, whatever it is. They can still go and cast their ballot on that day at certain locations. So you can find those on our website at harrisvotes.com.
Wonderful. So, during the primary election, we had a lot of questions about poll workers and what their poll watchers, I'm sorry, and their role on E Day and during early vote. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
So poll watchers are a safety operation function. They're there to help secure elections, right? To make sure that things aren't happening outside of order or conduct. That's perfectly fine. We're okay with that. They've been given a bit more leeway in terms of how they operate now. They can access different locations or have more access in polling locations where vote work is happening. They have more access. That's what some of the rules are now in terms of working with them and the presiding judge at that polling location. There's more structure around how that goes, or with the judge. What has not changed, and this is consistent, poll watchers cannot watch you cast your vote, right? They can't stand there while someone is casting their vote. They can't invade your personal space. They cannot talk to voters. They cannot disrupt the election. If for some reason someone encounters it and they feel like a poll watcher is maybe being too close, maybe taking more leeway than they should, doing something that is outside of the ordinary, feel free to let an election worker know. They can let the presiding judge know, and the presiding judge can have a conversation with them. But it's important that people know that poll watchers cannot talk to voters. So even if a voter talks to that poll watcher should not talk to that voter. They'll speak to the presiding judge or an election worker in that location. But in terms of how they can move and navigate, it doesn't really impact voters directly too much. They have more leeway in terms of access and spaces that they can go to, but they should not be watching anyone cast their actual vote, and they should not be speaking to voters or disrupting the election in any way.
Thanks, Lynn. So, we just come off 2 years of a pandemic, and I have to ask, will voters be expected to wear a mask? And could you also cover any precautions that the county will be taking as far as safety precautions?
So there aren't any mandatory precautions or anything's in place. If you know, previously we had a lot of precautions and preventative measures in place for people to protect themselves. As the world is opening back up, some of those things have become more lenient, and we're relying on voters to protect themselves. So if someone is wearing a mask, or if they want to wear a mask, feel free to wear a mask in that location. We generally will provide hand sanitizer at some of the stations. We'll generally have some masks that might be available for the staff should they want them, because they encounter a lot of people throughout the course of the day. But we don't have any direct guidelines or regulations for voters and how they should govern themselves.
So, where should people go if they have questions about voting in Harris County?
So for those who are tech savvy and they want to just log on really quickly, log on to our website, harrisvotes.com. Or if you're a traditionalist and you like to call and hear a live voice, you will get a live voice. Call our office directly at 713-755-6965.
Thank you so much, Lynn. As we come to a close, I'd like to give you an opportunity if you have any closing thoughts or any thing you want us to take away from this interaction today.
The main thing is I just want to encourage everyone to vote early. Anything that they're doing as part of the voting process, whether it's requesting their vote by mail application, submitting that vote by mail ballot, all of it, do it early. That way, if you're going to a polling location, go during early voting. If anything should happen to go wrong, or things happen in life, right? I get a flat tire, my whole day is thrown off, and then if I wait on election day, then I've missed the opportunity. But if I do that in early vote, I still have another day to go and cast my ballot. So try to go do everything early. That way, it's done. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to worry. And above all else, I cannot stress the importance of looking up your ballot prior to heading to the polls. Like maybe that weekend before you decide to go vote, literally look it up and pull up that ballot and go through it. There are lots of candidates. And even me, I consider myself a fairly informed person. There's still a lot of names and positions I'm not familiar with. I am pulling up my ballot beforehand and making my selections prior to heading to the polls. I encourage everyone else to do the same. So again, vote early and make sure that it's done.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for joining us today. As you know, AARP is committed to helping our members and the broader public get the information they need to go out and vote. Thank you for helping us fulfill that role. Thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions for our guests or ideas for future topics, please leave a comment. Please leave a comment below. You can visit our You can visit our video tab for AARP Texas on our Facebook page to find this video along with a host of other videos. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day.
Shondra, do you want to go ahead and read the tag again?
Um, thank you for watching,
Yes.
or okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As you know, AARP is committed to helping our members and the broader public get the information they need to go out and vote. Thank you for helping us fulfill that role. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions for our guests or ideas for future topics, please leave a comment below. You can visit our video tab on our AARP Texas Facebook page to find this video along with a host of other videos. Thank you for joining. Have a great day.